Hello, 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 and welcome to season 3, episode 4 of Rewind with Ro. I am your host, Ro Carter, and my amazing co-host,
Rob Smith.
hello, is in the house. How you doing, brother?
I'm all right. I was really sick all day today. I think it's because I've been flying so much from Miami to LA. So I'm just like, I don't know. I got to start wearing a mask on these flights. I was like,
I was about to ask you, you're not wearing masks, bro? What are you doing? When you
I'm going to start now.
You travel like coast to coast? You gotta wear a mask coast to coast.
Yeah, I got to start doing it now moving forward because I was like, I got off that plane yesterday. I felt awful.
It's not only the time difference, but also that just like in the air, that energy, and you're just like, I don't want that.
Yeah, exactly.
We need you every week, brother. We need you working.
Thank you.
I officially moved down to Miami. I'm here.
Yes. So I will see you Sunday, hopefully.
So I'll talk to you about that offline. No. But again, I'll talk to you about it offline. We're gonna do some photo shoots. It's gonna be good.
Yeah.
But this is the new room. Gonna feng shui a little bit more. So by next week you'll see some more stuff added in. But got some books, have a plans.
Just no more wine.
And a blank wall. Yeah, no more wine. Sorry guys. Yeah. Maybe I'll put a little wine thing up here.
Yeah, do a little wine rack.
That'd be cool. Like a little, you get like, hey, and then just like, you know. And anyway, sober January is going great. So that's what I'm doing. Ladies and gentlemen, I left Boston. It was snowing, and it was crazy. And the last day had the car shipped down, had all these boxes shipped. Shout out to the people who drive. The guy got here in 24 hours. Other guy got here in 48 hours. I was like, damn. So all the way from Boston to Miami, that's a drive. I don't know if I could do that in that amount of time. So got everything here good. So I am ready to go. You know, just been putting stuff together, cleaning stuff.
Just taking Miami over.
That's what I'm saying. But the weather's great.
I know it is. Which is crazy. I left Miami. It was so warm. Then I got here to LA and it was freezing.
Yeah, I'm like, damn, people are jelly. Like, I hate you. I was like, well, you know, I would hate me too. It's nice weather. Good times. Anyway, anything big coming in your neck of the woods? Anything coming up?
No acting gigs. So, no. I look swollen.
Rob, you know, we're old. It just happens. One day, you know, you're smiling like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
So welcome to Rewind. We have 2 amazing movies. Listen, the next month and a half is going to be some top movies. I think some of these are going to be nominated. So trust me, or someone in the movie will be nominated. But we have a lot of heavy hitters coming. So I love to hear Rob's opinion on everyone afterwards, as usual, to see what he does. But anyway, tonight we're doing Lift, that's starring Kevin Hart. And then we're doing the Book of Clarence. We're doing a lot of movies today. So first, we're going to start off with Lift. This is airing on Netflix. It came out on the 12th, Friday for everybody to watch. So now we're going on almost a week of it being, everybody got a chance to view. It's number 1 on Netflix. Kevin Hart usually does these types of numbers on Netflix. He's pretty good in terms of that. Movie theater is a little different, but I'm saying when it comes to movies, movie there's a little different. Netflix, he's killing. The one with Wesley Snipes that he did before, that was a really good movie. So he's starting to really get his acting chops in terms of taking serious roles on. This is like an action comedy, right? Would you say that, Rob?
Yeah, I would absolutely categorize it that way.
There are definitely some serious moments in there where if you haven't seen Kevin Hart in that kind of realm for the first time and you're used to his comedic roles, he held his own. He does his thing as usual. It's just kind of weird. And I was thinking about this, and we'll go into what the movie's about. But you know what they did for Tom Hanks? Like they used to, even when they cast him with taller women, they always put him on like a soapbox, him and Sylvester Stallone. So it's weird when you see Kevin Hart on the screen, with this cast, like you actually see his size, which they mask guys that are his size as well. So they got away with it. And so you're like, oh, I can see them as an action star. So for me, that was the only thing, the gripe I would say is like to having to picture him as like this guy, the man, the mysterious guy. I'm like, bro, you're 5'3", so that's the only hate I'll give it. But anyway, Lift is about a mysterious thief played by Kevin Hart, who is coerced by his ex-girlfriend and the FBI to pull off an impossible heist. It'll be an international crew works with him, and if they don't pull this off, they all will be arrested. Now the heist is crazy. They're going to be on a 777 passenger flight flying over London to Zurich, from London to Zurich. So they have to do this heist within that time. So starting this movie, you get to see how Kevin Hart and his team works. They pull off a big heist, and they kind of put the new spin on it. Kind of like what is that called? The FTs, the pictures, the new videos and stuff the kids are using.
NFTs.
NFTs. Thank you. Jeez, guys, I just moved. I apologize. So they use NFTs in this art as artwork to sell versus the old school when you actually had a piece of art. And so that was cool to see the spin on that and how that new technology is working. And then you kind of see that they're kind of like a Robin Hood where they steal from the rich, but they give back to others. And so they get caught up in this kind of action comedy, and they have to work their way out of it. What did you think of the film, Rob?
Surprisingly, I really enjoyed it. I went into it kind of skeptical. To be honest, I was like, do I really want to watch this movie? It's going to be another corny, dumb, slightly unfunny action film that, doesn't really captivate me. But I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I really, really enjoyed the artful style of the cinematography. I felt like it was like refreshing. The energy captured by the scoring of the film was actually really, really well done. And the performances were great. This was like Money Heist meets James Bond with some comedy under it.
It's Impossible, like a little bit of everything. Yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really well done. And I'm shocked that I liked it as much as I did. I really enjoyed it. Like, I would actually watch it again because I thoroughly enjoyed it. To your point, and I hate saying this, I noticed in one scene that they had Gugu he had on like flats. And I was like, clearly, because they were like she was his romantic interest, so they had like some kind of balancing of that. But I thought Kevin Hart did a great job in this project. I thought she did a great job. I thought it was fun too how they identified who each of the players were on his team, and then you like got an introduction to each city that was a part of the film. I thought it felt very artfully done, and it felt like you were in each city that became a part of the storyline. You felt the energy of that city as a part of the story. So they did a great job.
Yeah, they did. And one thing I'll really just to tap on what you just said, the cast was amazing, right? They really did a good job with the cast. Vincent D'Onofrio, he's been around forever. He's an amazing actor. So that's the only thing I didn't like in the beginning. They show him as one of the cast members. And I was like, or they showed him in the first scene, opening scene. So I was like, oh, he's either a bad guy or he's working in with it, right? Because he's such an iconic face. So when you see him on the screen, like, okay, he's got to be a part of something. He's not just doing a cameo. He's either in it or he's something's behind the scene. So I kind of love how they played around with that character. Casting was great between good and bad. As to top of what you said too, the cinematography, that was beautiful. That's one of my favorite scenes was the boat scene, right? When they're in Venice. And I was like, I got to go to on my bucket list, have to do Venice before I'm completely underwater. So, the floods have been happening more severely than ever lately. So if you're going to put Venice on your bucket list, you got to do it. But I love how they show these scenes of Venice that you don't normally get to see unless you're watching an action film.
Yeah.
Some cameos in there. Jacob Battalion, he was in Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man, the young Hawaiian kid who's friends with Spider-Man. And so they actually did the last Spider-Man in Venice as well. So that was kind of cool. He's been there before. And I won't tell you who he plays in the movie, but it's kind of like a cool surprise. That was kind of funny when I was like, oh, that's weird, who you thought it was. And it was like little things like that. But again, to add to that, the scenery was amazing. The cinematography was amazing. The only knock I'll have is they did too much CGI, right? Because they had to do these special effects with doing the heist in the air. So there was a lot of CGI going on, which sometimes even when they landed in Zurich, I was like, come on, this is too much CGI for me. Otherwise, though, it was still a good film. action packed. I mean, when I tell you, I don't think there's maybe 2 minutes where they actually are relaxing, and that's them planning to do the heist. Otherwise, it's like fast paced, fast paced, fast paced.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can get lost in a film like that when it's too much fast paced. It kind of loses the tempo of what the movie's trying to portray. And I love that it's still kept on pace. So shout out to Kevin Hart. He's one of the producers on this. He's really, picking some solid movies, especially when it comes to Netflix. The only thing I mean, sometimes I feel I'm too oversaturated with Kevin. Sometimes I'm like, just take a break, brother. Take a year off, a month off. He just did his comedy special with Chris Rock. He's got this film. They did a behind the scenes one. Now he's doing another Netflix special that's coming out soon. So he's constantly on the go, and he's one of the, we always say him and The Rock are one of the hardest workers in Hollywood. They're always working. So it's nice to kind of be like, hey, man, I haven't seen you in a while. I'm looking forward to seeing your next piece. But like I said, it was a really good film.
I love that he's hardworking and he is constantly out there, making a new project. Because again, I thought this project was really suiting for him, and he really this role was great. And I think I got to see a performance from him that I haven't seen before, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Of course, Gugu Mbatha-Raw, I can never pronounce her name correctly. She's so talented and so beautiful. And I think that she was perfect as well. There was also Sam Worthington, who of course we all know from Avatar, was in it. So it was a great cast. Great. And we have to mention it was directed by F. Gary Gray. So I think I was not bothered by the CGI. I just understood it to be a part of a film like this, So I don't know. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I liked it.
Nice. Would you recommend it to a friend?
Absolutely. I would say, again, I'm probably going to watch it again with friends because I really enjoyed it.
Funny, I posted, our pictures for the show tonight, and a couple of people text me. They're like, yo, was it good? And I was
like, watch it.
I was like, why'd you turn into the show tonight and see the review? But then, and kind of go over there. So no spoilers tonight. We're probably going to stay, even-toed and not mess anything up for people because it still just came out. So that's what the next couple of weeks will be. No really big spoiler alerts, just kind of give you the layout, the premise of the movie, and then kind of things that we touched on that we love the most about the film, or things we didn't like the most. You never know with Rob. He might love the movie, he might hate the movie. He really hates the movie. Anything I want to add there? Any special scenes that you were like, oh my God, that really made the movie, or something that made you like, oh my God, I want to go there? I mean, besides the Venice scene, we talked about that. We agreed on that scene in Venice, but anything else that jumped out?
I've been to Venice, so.
Excuse me. Yeah.
So I'm well traveled.
Wow. All right, Rob. For us poors that are trying to make it out there in the streets, keep your head up, player. Keep your head up.
No, it was great. Everything that was in a plane, I enjoyed. All of those scenes were really like.
Where's a plane that big? Seriously. No.
Emirates?
No. I've been on Emirates, but I'm saying big enough, like that first class was crazy. Emirates has the upstairs.
Yeah, it's like that.
That one level was crazy.
Emirates is like that when you're in that first class, that top level, and they have a bar. You can walk around in the bar. You have a bartender up there. You get drinks, and you can go back to your seat. It's very much like that. It's not that spaced out though.
That's what I'm saying. It was really spaced out.
Yeah, it was like one seat per.
You were all the way over there. Your seat's here. Like, hey man, I'll see you later. Get out of here.
See you when we get there. No, but I enjoyed the scenes on the planes.
That was actually Kevin Hart's second plane. Soul Plane too.
Soul Plane.
And people forget about Soul Plane, classic.
We can review that too.
They haven't rebooted. I'm surprised they didn't try to do.
I hope they don't. Are they gonna do like Soul Plane meets snakes on the plane and do a black version with just all snakes?
Wow, Rob.
I mean, that's the only way to reinvent Soul Plane. I don't know. I guess I'm a hater. I don't like Soul Plane.
How about he made some money, Rob, and he's doing a better plane for the people.
I like this movie. So you brought up Soul Plane. That's you. I blame you for that.
He's on a plane again. All right, Rob. Sorry. Jeez. All right. Anyway, Rob, what would you give this movie?
Out of 10?
Yes, sir.
Bro, why do you do this to me? Okay, I'm going to give this A solid 8.
Ooh, Robbie got an 8. Why an 8, Rob? What was missing for you that you couldn't give it a 10 like you normally do?
I just don't want to over pass out 10s anymore because I just feel like I'm disappointing you. So I'm gonna give this an 8.
You don't disappoint me. I get excited. I think the people get excited. They're like, oh,
okay, then I'll give it a 10 out of 10. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
Don't give it 10 out of 10 unless you really think it's a 10 out of 10. If you think it is,
I think Gary Gray did a phenomenal job with the film. I think that Kevin Hart was phenomenal in this role. I think that Gugu was amazing as always. I think it was very well cast. I thought the cinematography was impeccable. Again, I thought the scoring of it really helped tell the story. So it propelled the story forward in a way that I think that could have failed this film if they didn't have the right scoring to it, which I thought they did a great job with. And for it to be like an action-packed comedy drama, with a little romance in it. I thought that with all of these very specific, unique characters, I thought they did a phenomenal job. So I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10.
All right. Only on black film will you see something like this. On to the next film. We're gonna do the Book of Clarence. Out of movie theaters, came out on the 12th last week.
Thanks, Val.
Excuse me?
Val gave us a thumbs up.
Oh, thanks, Val. Appreciate you. Book of Clarence now in theaters, produced by The Bullets. He also did The Harder They Fall, which is great on Netflix. I love that. It's probably the last movie What's Name's gonna do. They blocking all his stuff.
They need to stop.
Right? That's a whole nother conversation. But they blocking
the conversation. Leave Jonathan Majors alone.
They blocking that brother can't get anybody.
It's infuriating. So
and
this to protect him, which is driving me nuts.
We'll talk about it next week. We'll talk about it. So this stars Lakeith Stanfield. He's been in so many great movies, so many great black movies and shows, from Atlanta to The Black Messiah. I mean, his acting chops have really stepped it up. So it was interesting to see him in this role. The Book of Clarence, when I first went in here, I was like, what am I getting myself into? But I'm actually a little I'm not confused, but I'm conflicted about how I feel about the film. But basically, it stars Lakeith, and he's basically a down in his luck man, struggling to find a better life for him and his family. When fighting to free himself of debt, he actually loses in a race, and he owes, like, I guess, the gangster of the town of Jerusalem. He owes him a horse, a carriage, and money. And so in order to do this, he tries this hustle. So in this time, this is the time of Jesus Christ. So the Messiah. And the Messiah is basically doing all these miracles and getting paid for that. So he's like, hey, you know what? I can do a hustle myself doing the same thing. And that way I can pay it all back. In doing this, he finds his own path of divine life and ultimately discovers redemptive power and belief in his own way about, what God is, what life is, what relationships are, what friendships are. So when we said in this movie, you see him on the cross. And again, I'm not going to give away big scenes, but you see him on the cross in the beginning and a couple times throughout this film. I didn't know if it was going to be like a musical or like kind of Monty Python style, right? It was just such weird setups, which I thought were really cool. But also, I thought this could have been a love story, right? I think there were so many underlying stories in this that I think I wanted to see a love story out of this more than I wanted to see the actual movie for itself, because they did so many things with like the music and just the background scenes. And I was just picturing myself, like when you always heard about Jesus of Nazareth and all that stuff, it was never portrayed as black folks. And so you got to see black folks kind of do this. So it was really beautifully shot and beautifully done. There's a lot of comedy in it too, as well, which I love. That was some beautiful, poignant points throughout there where I don't know if I can give them away, but if you might have missed one or two, but the ones that were there, it was like, oh my God, when I was seeing it in the theaters, everybody was dying laughing. So what did you think of the film originally when you were going into it? Did you have, what expectations did you have? Were you excited? Were you disappointed? Where were you at? Oh God, I've never seen this before.
Well, I thought it was interesting. I thought that it started off horribly slow, like horribly slow and very hard to like digest in the beginning. I don't know why I felt like they tried to do so many tricks with like you said, it felt for a second like it was going to turn into like a Bollywood musical. It just,
It did, right? I don't know what they were trying to do. Yeah, that's what I didn't understand. I was like, okay, if you're gonna go there, then go there. Don't keep setting up the scenes to be like,
yeah. And then like they had all of this like these moments where it was like it almost felt like a fantasy film, like people floating in the air and doing all these weird things. And so it was like it felt like too many versions of like different styles of movies. So there was like it was a fantasy film for 10 minutes, then it was a Bollywood film for 15 minutes, and then it was like a traditional film, and then it became a religious film, then it became a romance, then it became, like you said, it just was I was very confused for the first 30 to 40 minutes. And then it got really good. When it got really good, it got really good. And I woke up. Because honestly, I did kind of doze off a little bit, like twice. But I'm not trying to bash this film. I'm trying my best not to bash this film. But then it became clear that it was like, it was well done, well written, but like the last hour and a half. The first 30 to 40 minutes was very confusing for me. I understood they were trying to set up the story. And it was like, this is a fictitious kind of take on the crucifixion of Jesus. So it's from the standpoint of someone who accidentally ends up being crucified next to him, but also finds God in on his journey of like trickery. So it was a very interesting story. I thought it was a clever story. I did like that it was done from the perspective of, you know, African roots and heritage to this biblical story. And like I did like the comedy aspect of it, where they would throw in like a white person who, and then everybody's like, oh, he looks like Jesus. Like,
yeah, it was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to him. He must be smart.
So it was that was fun and funny. But overall, I got hooked at about 40 minutes in. Prior to that, I was like, I don't think I'm enjoying this at all. And I saw a couple of people get up and walk out. I wish they would have stayed and actually enjoyed.
Really?
Yeah, it was interesting. I saw a few people get up and walk out. They never came back. They weren't Black. But I do think that they would have probably enjoyed the film more had they stayed longer and allowed the story to pick up. Because again, it had a very, very slow start that was hard to grasp to.
What's the last movie you actually physically walked out of?
I don't think I've walked out of a movie before.
I'm
never offended by a movie. Like all these Republicans who were getting up.
I'll never forget the movie I walked out of. I'll never forget it.
Which one?
It was Dude, Where's My Car? I walked out of that movie theater so fast. I was like, this is the stupidest movie I've ever watched in my life. And I was like, I can't do it.
I'm just going to assume that the people walked out because they were offended at the depiction of Jesus as Black. I'm going to assume that's why they walked out. I'm just assuming that to make myself feel better. But I couldn't think of any other reason they would have to get up and walk out. Because when we meet all the disciples,
you said it was slow, right? So they just didn't like. They probably didn't like the pace of the movie, you know, when it started. And it was like, well, if this movie's gonna be this slow now, it can't get any faster.
I mean, I don't know if the pacing was enough for me to be like get up and storm out, because they walked out kind of aggressively, and I was like, this feels personal. But yeah, I think they got up and walked out because the depiction of like the disciples and Jesus was Black. So I don't know. That's my assumption of why they walked out.
And then he says the Book of Clarence, and on the front it has him Black folks.
I don't know what they were expecting. I don't. But it was slow to start. But I did enjoy it as it progressed.
So what I'll add, so if you've seen Intergalactic on Netflix, it was like a love story. That's what I felt the movie was trying to, but in real time, but with real people. So you took an animation film and you put it to real people. And that's what when they were getting high and floating in the air, and then certain music came on. And then when he looked into her eyes, like, that's what I felt. I was like, oh, okay, I can jive with this. Like, I feel this. I'm old, jive. So I really understand this. I'm in a good zone. Let's see where this goes. And again, it was fast paced because they start off right off the bat with the race. right?
Well,
so, again, that was to set everybody up, and then you kind of meet the actors. One of my favorite scenes, and shout out to her, some classic actors in here as well, classic Black actors. The melanin on the screen was amazing, just to see everybody out there, all walks of life, classic actors.
Alfred Woodard.
No, the one dude I love was on Netflix. He's always dressing up as different people, and if you follow Black Twitter, everyone's like, he looks like the same guy in every movie he does. So I apologize. I'm working from my phone, but Omar Sy, he played the big guy who was he was like, I want to kill all Romans.
Yeah.
He plays that detective on Netflix that has like, I have like 3 seasons already, where he always has these different disguises on all the time, but he's still like he's like 6'6", so you can't miss him.
I've never seen
those. You never seen
it?
No. So great cast. Shout out to Tiana Taylor. She's taking on some big roles and just knocking them out the box. RJ Seiler, he was great too as Clarence's like side hustle. So it almost felt like, Boys in the Hood in a way, right? One of those hood films, because they were drug dealers, in the time of Jesus Christ in Jerusalem, getting their hustle on, and then trying to find a way out, right? Provide a better lifestyle for his mom. And one of the disciples happens to be his twin brother. And so you kind of see them battle each other throughout the film about, what is right and what is wrong, and what is truly unconditional love. And it reminded me of, those stories that we hear them in the Black community so much about, siblings following different paths, but one stays behind to take care of their family. And it's like, hey, you know what? But I'm doing good things for myself, but you forgot your family and where you came from. And
we
so
talked about that last week.
Yeah, exactly. So you touched on that again, but in a deeper way, where that uncomfortable conversation was being held, or that accountability, right? And I love, there was that one moment Clarence said, "What would Jesus think if you not caring about your mother?" And I was like, "Ooh, that's gangster. That's what would Jesus think?" And so, regardless of how bad I am, I'm still trying to do the best thing for my mom and the household. So don't knock my hustle. This is why I'm doing that. And Clarence is a complicated character, but you really feel for them, because he starts to open up and become a better person. And then, when he wants to free some slaves, he does that. He's hustling in a different way. The fight scene was funny. There were some funny scenes out there. But overall, I really thought it was a good film. I'll agree with you. It was a little slow in the beginning, because I think the pace is based on you're not knowing what you're walking into, right? Even in the previews, it didn't really give you what was going to go on, so you're going in there, like even the John the Baptist scene, that was funny. Yes. There's some good scenes in the film, but I think if you're patient, like you said, give it 30 to 40 minutes into the movie. That's a little bit of time to give, but it picks up, and then you kind of see what the film is going to become. And then the one thing I wanted to add, sorry, I put in my notes, is the scene when they're all like at a party having a good time, and that song comes on.
Mm-hmm.
What was the song again? Sorry. Oh, Cumberbatch, Walk in the Water. Believer, Afraid It Was, No Oppressed as We Got. I think it was Love You, Baby. No, you don't remember the song?
I don't remember exactly which song it was, but I do remember that moment. It was another one of those Bollywood moments.
And they were dancing, having a good time, and then they did a different beat though, and I love that. It was very tribal, very in the moment, very in the scene. So anyway, there are a lot of one-offs throughout the movie that I like. Again, had a little Monty Python feel in the beginning, but then it kind of becomes its own film. It's like 3 movies in one: Intergalactic, and then it has like Jesus of Nazareth, and then it doesn't get too deep, but kind of it's not preachy, which I love. You think it is?
I think it's preachy.
No, but I think Clarence,
I'm okay with it being preachy. And I think that's what it is. It's the story of Jesus.
it's the story of Jesus Christ, but through Clarence's eyes of like, hey, I don't believe in that, right?
It's through Clarence being on the sideline and trying to monopolize on the idea that there's a prophet in town, that there's a Messiah in town. So it's his road to fame and success and love is to take advantage of this sea of messiahs that have like shown up, including Jesus. And as a part of that, he has to convince people that Jesus isn't real. But then he himself experiences that phenomenon of Jesus, and then he becomes a believer, but it's too late. So I think, it was preachy, but I'm okay with that because that's what it's supposed to be. I think that's what it is, but I do think that it had a stellar cast. Like you said, Tiana Taylor plays Mary Magdalene. Alfre Woodard plays the Virgin Mary. It's a really great cast. What was the lead actress's name? Anna Diop, who was in The Nanny last year at Sundance, and now
she was amazing. She was really good.
She was really, really amazing. She plays the love interest of Clarence. So it's a really well-rounded cast. Benedict Cumberbatch makes
crazy. Did you know that was him to begin with?
No.
I did. I was the second time they showed him, I was like, oh, I know who that is. I was like,
he was covered in soot and you couldn't tell what he looked like. When they started
that second scene, I was like, ooh, I know who that is.
So I thought it was very, very well done as it got later into the film. I don't mind that it got kind of preachy because I think it was supposed to give that message of like that belief or affection for Christ and Christianity. That's what this film is about. But it's just I think it was done in a clever way from the perspective of this person who became a disciple of Jesus as a trick to find popularity. So it was a fun and interesting take on it, but we still got to see the pain and torment and torture of what was done to Jesus as it was done to him. And we got to see the forgiveness and the love of Jesus when he was forgiving him for the mistake he made, even though it caused Jesus to end up where he was. So it was an interesting take on that experience. I thought it was a well done film after that 30 minutes, but that 30 minutes almost had me. I was like, this film is not going to do well with me in this during this episode because it was the first 30 minutes were that bad to me.
All right.
Hey.
The song was Nights Over Egypt.
Oh, yes. It was.
Yes. Sorry, I looked at my notes. I found it. Sorry, everybody. A little unorganized. I just moved down here, so I will have it good to go by next week. But, and the boom, 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 boom. If you don't know that song, you should download. But that was like, and then they're dancing like.
Yeah, it was good. That was a good
okay. Or like a sorority party back in the day, all black frat sorority party. I was like, okay.
Oh, little step offs going on. Yeah.
So it was a really good vibe. And then there was a scene too of like, again, where I was comparing it to it being in the hood or Boys in the Hood. There's that with the Roman army, that combative scene where they're like, hey, you know what? It's kind of like speaking up to the cops and being like, hey, we're not going to be put down and put in our place. You can't tell us what to do. And so that's still that good cop, bad cop, or black versus white. That scene there was, still prevalent, right? There's no way to get around it. No matter what time in history, you're like, damn, man, I still can't get away from this. And so I love that they spoke about that, but also the community, right? He's like, no, I have a beef with him, but I still love him enough to not let him be taken by you, because I know you'll do more harm to him than I would. And that was there's a lot of deep messaging there. There's a lot of good one-liners there by some veterans. Like I said, great cast. Shout out to whoever did the casting here. They did an amazing job. And no one really overpowers the scene, because we watched the movie last week and they were stealing scenes left and right. But in this movie, everybody held their own, and I think it was an open space to kind of, hey, here's your time to shine, do your thing. But there was so much support, so it really kept the movie going, for me at least.
Okay.
Any special scene at all that you were like, oh my god, that kind of got me back into it?
There were quite a few. I had fun again as the movie progressed. I thought it was fun. The chase scenes through the city, those were all fun. The scene of his trial, where he's forced to step into the pool, the pond,
Yeah.
prove that he's a Messiah by walking on water. I thought it was all fun. Like, it was all done very well. It was clever after 30 minutes into the film, and then it became like this great film that I was kind of like, I was literally sat up in my seat at that point and started to really get invested in the project. But it just took a while to get to that pace. But
what would you take away, Rob?
What
would you take away? Those 30 minutes. What exactly? Because again, I'm thinking about the beginning of the movie. I just saw it last night, but I think they were just introducing the characters. Right? No?
It was just a hodgepodge of weird stuff happening in the 30 minutes. The floating in the air when he gets the idea.
Why ideas come to you? It's like God sending a message to you, but now I'm getting a light bulb. No?
I got that, but it just felt like a different movie, because it just felt, at that point, it became a fantasy film. Then I felt like I was watching Star Wars at one point. Then I thought I was watching a Bollywood film. And then I was like,
oh, when did Star Wars come in?
When they went into the sex club, and it just felt like 5 different movies combined into one at certain points. I was like, what is happening? I was very confused, but it just took a while for me to get sucked into it. But again, once I was invested, I was invested. I thought it got better. It got better.
Listen, I want to give everybody just a heads up. When you're presenting a film, Rob's going to review it. You got 10 minutes. Give him good stuff, or he ain't gonna have any patience for you.
I'm not gonna get up and walk out like those other folks.
30 minutes, and this is before a review we were doing. So I know he can't give you 10, 15. Good luck. All right. Would you recommend the film, Rob?
Yes.
All right. And
yes.
So shout out Clarence. He plays a twin, his twin brother. What do you think about that? That was the first time you've seen him kind of do double roles. Did he hold his own, or did any knock on that, or no? Wow. Okay.
It was okay. It was okay.
Lakeith Stanfield plays his twin brother. All right.
It was okay. It was okay. I don't have anything bad to say.
All right. So Rob, what do you rate the film, Rob?
You were ready to get to this part. You've been waiting for this.
Listen, Rob, if you just want to keep it as I'll recommend it, we can leave it at that. If you don't want to give it a score, it's fine. You don't have to. I don't want to put you in a situation. You're still trying to get gigs. I don't want to put you in a situation.
Okay. I'm gonna give it.
Again, you don't have to rate this movie, Rob. You don't have to rate it. You don't have to. If you want to rate it, you can rate it, but you don't have to. You can just say, hey, you know what? Check it out for yourself, or wait till it comes on DVD. Or sorry, no DVD streams. Wait until it gets streamed.
I would recommend going to watch it. Just
a matinee.
Just be open-minded. But I would recommend going to see it. There's some legendary actors in this film. There's some very, very talented actors in this film. Alfre Woodard, Marianne Jean-Baptiste, Tiana Taylor was great. Benedict Cumberbatch, who is always phenomenal. Like you said, it was a beautiful representation of blackness on the screen. It was a unique take on the crucifixion of Jesus.
So did Caleb too. Caleb did a good job.
Who?
Caleb McCollum. He's in Stranger Things. The young kid in Stranger Things.
I'm gonna have to look him up.
Oh, you didn't even notice. He was the guy who was doing the carriage the whole time.
Oh yeah. And then
Yeah.
the little boy who was in Harder They Fall,
Yeah.
Chase.
But his accent was on point. I love everybody's dialect. It was a really good accent. I was like, okay.
Yeah, I thought it was a beautiful representation of like African and brown and blackness. It was really beautifully done. I think again, it was a great, unique, creative way to tell this story of Jesus's crucifixion. That is one that's like new and young, that people can digest, and it can reach a new audience of people. It wasn't like brutal passion for the Christ, like punch you in the face with violence. It wasn't like that, but it was very artfully done. But again, it just took a while to get me into the story. Mm-hmm. So yeah, let's not rate this one.
Okay. Well, shout out also to Lakeith Stanfield. There's a scene. Yes. I remember I went to Catholic school my whole life. Oh, so the signs of the cross, and I remember we're like, when Jesus fell at this stage, and so I remember the stage of the cross. And so when he fell in that scene, I was like, wow, that was pretty good. Like the makeup they did for that, and his acting when holding that cross and kind of bearing that burden, mm-hmm. He really portrayed that on screen. So that was, I think, probably some of the best acting he's done in a while, just in that scene alone, when he's kind of carrying the cross and talking to people, and just like all these things are happening at once. So he was he said he was in a bad space, like after the Last Messiah. So it's nice to see him like coming out of his shell again and kind of opening up to bigger roles. So like I said, I would recommend it. I enjoyed the film because I think I would love that if they made a love story between Clarence and his girlfriend in the movie, because that could be its own kind of story, which is really nice. Black love in the time of Jesus. Ooh.
Well, I think they showed that with Mary Magdalene and his brother. They tried to, because they showed that in the moment where he had to save her. And
that was gangster too. It was like, she gets saved and then now you lose her. I'm like,
yeah.
They didn't really go into that, but I'm like,
yeah, he didn't.
I was like, save a hoe and you okay? Everything's good. That's what it used to be called. Save a hoe. That's technically, again, they were throwing rocks because they thought she was kind of like down, but she said she wasn't. Mm-hmm. So Jesus comes in, saves a person, and then and then he's like, yo, but Jesus did his thing, player. So I'm not mad at him.
He did. He turned around. He said, I think we know your name is Jezebel, right?
We're in the stables. Ooh, I was like, okay. Spilling all the tea.
Out.
Spilling all the tea.
I know Jesus was kind of shady in that scene.
Yeah. Again, there's some, and shout out to Cumberbatch. I was crying when he had his locks done, and I was, oh man,
he got him combed out. He had that little
and he was skipping and just like, hey,
passing out coins.
I was like, that's funny. So shout out to a lot of the white actors that are able to like be in this role and like be serious but have fun with it, because I think that's the toughest job, right? You're like on a set where it's a tough conversation to have, especially going through all this, and you bring some humor to it, and also make fun of yourself, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day. So brilliantly done, and that way to end the kind of film. It reminded me of Tom Cruise when he was in Tropic Thunder, and a lot of people didn't know that was him at the end of the film. They're like, oh, that was Tom Cruise? So it was like one of those moments with Benjamin Cumberbatch. So anyway, I would recommend it. Rob says... I
recommend it. I like...
Rob says have patience, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes, have patience with it. It may take a moment for you to get into it. And don't make it seem like I don't like Lakeith Stanfield. I do. I just...
I didn't say anything. I asked, hey, did you like him as a twin? You said, I don't know what to say. And I was like, okay, that's all I said. I didn't say anything else. That was all you played.
Well,
watch your back. Watch your back. But keep coming for you.
Oh, man. Okay.
Not that way.
I did like it.
All right. I think next week we're doing Bob Marley. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What else?
What?
What else? Just
I think there's one that came on regular. So in the kitchen. Yeah, so In the Kitchen and Bar In the Kitchen comes out on Netflix on the 19th, and then what was the show? So tomorrow, In the Kitchen comes out with the dude from Get Out, and then the Marley movie just came out as well. So that'll be our 2 shows for next week. So I'm excited to talk about it. I will be more settled in. Hopefully the backsplash will have a little more spew, and then hopefully me and your boy Rob are gonna work on some photo shoots here in Miami. Have a theme going on. Boom, boom, boom. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning in tonight. Anything you want to add, Rob?
No, just enjoy these movies and
have patience.
Have patience with the second one.
There you go.
Because you're gonna need it.
Oh God. All right, everybody. Have a good night. Thanks for tuning in.
Good night.